Ever scroll through the health news and seen those headlines about medical breakthroughs? The ones that sound almost too good to be true. 9 times out of 10, the story starts with a clinical trial. But what does it really take to get a new treatment out there? And how do we know those trials are safe? That's exactly what we're digging into today. We're diving into an article titled, "Are Clinical Trials Safe? And Why Wearable Trials Are Safest." Our mission is to break down those safety protocols, but even more exciting, we'll explore how wearable tech is shaking things up in the world of medical research. So before we get to the futuristic stuff, let's talk about how clinical trials already prioritize safety. There are a lot of checks and balances in place, right?
Absolutely. It's a whole system designed to protect participants every step of the way. Think multiple layers of oversight from independent ethics committees right up to the FDA.
Okay, break that down for me. What are these layers and how do they actually keep people safe?
One of the most crucial components is something called an Institutional Review Board, or IRB for short. What's fascinating here is that it's not just scientists on these boards. They include community members too, ensuring an outside perspective on the risk versus benefit for volunteers.
So it's like having someone completely unconnected to the Research Act as an advocate for the participants. That's reassuring.
Exactly. And then there's informed consent. This means that before you even think about joining a trial, researchers have to give you the full download in plain English. No medical jargon allowed. We're talking about the purpose of the study, the procedures, the potential risks, everything. And you're free to ask all the questions you want until you feel completely comfortable.
That makes a lot of sense. You don't want anyone feeling pressured or in the dark. But what happens once a trial is underway? Who's keeping an eye on things then?
That's where data and safety monitoring boards, or DSMBs, come in. Their sole focus is participant safety. They monitor the data throughout the entire trial and can hit the brakes if anything unexpected pops up. They're like the vigilant guardians of the clinical trial world, always looking out for the well-being of the volunteers.
It's reassuring to know there's that constant vigilance even after a participant joins. But clinical trials are notorious for taking a long time. Why is that?
It's all about minimizing risk while maximizing what we learn, and that takes time. That's why trials have phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and even phase 4 after a treatment is available to the public. Each phase builds on the last, answering specific questions about safety and effectiveness.
So it's a careful step-by-step process. You don't just jump straight to the finish line.
Exactly. Phase 1 is like dipping your toes in the water. It involves a small group and mainly focuses on safety. If that goes well, we move on to phase 2 with a larger group to see how well the treatment works. Phase 3 is the big test, comparing the new treatment to existing ones. And then phase 4 is about long-term monitoring, keeping a close eye on things even after the treatment is widely available.
Okay, so that's a great overview of how traditional clinical trials prioritize safety and gather data responsibly. But what happens when we bring cutting-edge technology into the mix? That's where wearables come in, right? It used to be that wearable tech made you think of those clunky pedometers people clip to their belts. Now we're talking about smartwatches that track everything from sleep cycles to heart rhythms, and they're changing how clinical trials are done.
It's a total game changer. Wearables give us this incredible ability to go from sporadic data points to a continuous stream of information. Instead of relying on someone remembering how they felt last week, we can see in real time how a treatment affects their body in their daily life.
That's a huge leap. Can you give me an example of what that looks like in practice?
Absolutely. Imagine you're studying a new drug for blood pressure. Traditionally, a participant might have to visit the clinic every few weeks for a checkup. But with a wearable trial, they could wear a smartwatch that tracks their blood pressure throughout the day, sending data back to the researchers in real time.
So instead of a handful of data points, you're getting a constant feed of information. That must be incredibly valuable.
It is, and it's not just the quantity of data, but the quality. We can see how someone responds to a treatment in the context of their daily life, not just in a controlled clinical setting. We can spot subtle changes, patterns, things that would have been missed with traditional methods.
Okay, I see what you mean. It's a much more holistic view of someone's health. But our article also highlighted some specific safety benefits to using wearables in clinical trials. Can you walk me through those?
Absolutely. One of the most exciting is early detection. Wearables can pick up on subtle shifts in things like heart rate, sleep patterns, even activity levels, often before a participant even realizes something's off. That can be critical in identifying potential issues before they become serious problems.
It's like having an early warning system right there on your wrist. That's got to be reassuring for both the participant and the researchers.
Exactly. It adds this extra layer of safety monitoring that just wasn't possible before. And, another benefit of many wearable trials is that they're not about testing those powerful new drugs that might make people nervous.
Oh, interesting. So it's not all about experimental pharmaceuticals.
Not at all. A lot of wearable trials are exploring lifestyle interventions, think changes to diet, exercise, sleep habits. They're looking at how we can optimize our health using things we're already doing, just with a more data-driven approach.
So if someone's interested in clinical trials, but wary of potential side effects from new medications, wearable trials offer another path.
Exactly. It's a way to dip your toe into the world of research, contribute to scientific progress, but with potentially lower risk. Plus, it often means you're studying something directly relevant to your everyday life.
That makes a lot of sense. It feels much more approachable, but we've got to be realistic. There must be some downsides or risks associated with wearable tech in clinical trials, right? What are the caveats we should be thinking about? Okay, so we talked about how wearable tech is shaking up clinical trials and making them safer. But let's get down to brass tacks here. What's in it for the person who actually signs up for one of these trials? Why should you, dear listener, care about this stuff?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And our article highlighted some compelling answers. Of course, there's the altruism factor. Contributing to medical progress is always a good thing. And yes, some trials offer compensation, which can be a deciding factor for some. But the one that really grabbed my attention is the potential for personalized health insights.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Tell me more.
Think of it this way. When you participate in a wearable trial, the data isn't just going to the researchers, it's also giving you a fascinating glimpse into your own body's patterns. You might discover that your sleep is more restless on days you eat a certain food, or that your heart rate spikes at a particular time of day. These are insights you might never uncover otherwise.
Wow, it's like getting a behind-the-scenes tour of your own health.
Yeah.
I can see how that would be incredibly empowering.
It absolutely is. That kind of self-knowledge can be a powerful motivator for making healthier choices, even outside the context of the trial itself.
So it's a win-win. You're contributing to science and potentially improving your own well-being in the process. But let's be upfront about the elephant in the room. Our source article did mention that even wearable trials aren't completely risk-free. What do people need to be aware of?
That's an important point. It's crucial to remember that no medical intervention, no matter how non-invasive, comes without potential risks. Wearables are generally considered low risk, but it's essential to go into any trial with a clear understanding of both the potential benefits and downsides.
So don't just jump in blindly. Do your homework.
Exactly. Talk to the research team, ask questions, and make an informed decision about whether a particular trial is the right fit for you.
Solid advice. Well, as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of wearables and clinical trials, I'm left with a lingering thought. Could this be the key to making research more accessible and appealing to everyone? Will the convenience and potential personal benefits of wearables encourage more people to get involved in clinical trials?
It's an intriguing question, isn't it? We're already seeing a surge in interest in personalized medicine, and wearables fit perfectly into that trend. If it does lead to greater participation in clinical trials, we could see faster breakthroughs, more targeted treatments, and a deeper understanding of human health than ever before.
It's an exciting time for the future of medicine, and wearables are right at the forefront of that innovation. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive, but keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll catch you in the next episode.